Okay. All right, today we're making this, I didn't know what to call it, so I called it a box card because it's kind of a box, but I'm also doing some quilling on it. So I thought I'd just show you a little simple quilling to do, and it's quite effective for an embellishment. So it adds some dimension to your card. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make it. Alrighty. Get all my bits and pieces out. Okay, so you're going to start with a piece of cardstock that is 8 by 7. And then on the long side, you're going to score at 1, 3.5, 4.5. I'm going to turn that this way. 3.5, 4.5, and 7. Okay, so that is on the 8 by 7 piece of cardstock. And then on the front of the card, it's 8.5 by 3 3/4, and it is scored at 3 3/4 and 4 3/4. All right, and that's all the scoring that you need to do. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm not going to put build this up yet. I'm going to put on my pieces of cardstock. Now I use this new cardstock, and it's by Echo Park, and this one is the girl one. I'll have to get the name of it. I can't remember it right now. But anyways, it's a new girl one. And so I made these mats at 6 3/4 by 2 1/4. So you do 2 of these. And so this is for this large section at the bottom and one large section at the top. Now it is directional, so I'm going to turn this around, all right? Because the little hearts, it is a directional one. So you have to be aware of that when you're making your card. So I'm just going to put this one here for a mat. And then I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to put that one. I just have to whip my fan on here. Okay. So now I'm going to put the other one on. And this one is going into this section. Okay, and then I cut a little piece that is 6 3/4 by 3/4. So 3/4 by 6 3/4, and I'm going to put that here. So that will determine which way is going to be front and which way is going to be back, because this is directional also. Now I had thought of, and I'll tell you why I didn't, you could cut these two pieces shorter, like you could put a little bit here and a little bit here. But when I was making the card, I didn't know if I wanted to put the front of it in the middle, or over to the left side, or over to the right side. So I just thought it was easier if I just went right across the whole thing, and then you can put your front wherever you want it. Okay, now at this point, I'm going to take my bone folder, and I'm going to fold on my score lines. So it's much easier to add the paper mats before you fold it all up. All right? So now I'm just going to fold this over, and I'm going to add adhesive here. I'm just doing my, and then you just fold that over like that to create the box. So there's my box. Okay? So the box again is 7 inches. I think it's quite a cute card. All right, this is my front now. So you see, this one we are going to put so this was one of the 4x4 squares. This was the new paper, I believe.
This stuff then, okay.
Yeah. And they have really cute 4x4 squares on it. So it's perfect for something like this. Now, I actually cut this down. I cut it down to 3.5 by 3.5. It was very easy to cut down. They had lots of extras on the sides, so that was no problem. Because this is directional, you want to make sure of the hearts, and so then I'm just going to put that like that. There. Is it in the new one over there?
I think it's the one I had in my hand, but I don't see, I think that print might be gone. No, here it is. The little dreamer.
Okay. And then I just cut a 3.5 by 3.5 square. And that's going to go on here for my sentiment on the back of my card. Okay.
Marilyn, why did you turn the mat over? She might mean the score mat.
Oh, well, I guess my score pal at home's a little different than this one. It must be off just a bit, and the lines weren't lining up. So I just flipped it over so my lines would line up. That's the only reason. You don't have to do that. That's the only reason I did that. Okay, so here's the front of it. So it's pretty easy. So now, so this is why I put the paper directly across and I didn't divide it up, because first of all, I was gonna go like this, all right? Move that up. So first of all, I was gonna put it on like that. But then I wanted to add a sentiment. So the sentiment stuck out, so that wasn't gonna work. So then I thought, well, then I'll just move it over like that and then put my sentiment on. And then it worked perfect. So if I had done it the other way and just put little piece here and a little piece here, I wouldn't have been able to move it around to determine where I wanted to put this card front. All right? Okay, so now I want to add my tape to the back of this, okay? So I'm just going to, so this looks like it's, I don't know. I'm just gonna flip it over. I'm gonna add tape there. So you're just doing it in the bottom 2/3, I guess, of it. Now you can flatten this out and put this on here like that, so it goes right to the bottom. And then flatten it this way and put it on like that. Okay. And there it is. So it looks like that. So then I had these, Cindy cut me some, do you want to bring these over? The simple strips?
Oh, the stamps,
Yeah, and bring those new snarky ones. So I had Cindy cut me a bunch of these because I don't have a set. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to put 2 of them on here. So I'm think I have some foam tape here. I must order myself some for here. Oh, I've got one up here. This is the last foam tape. So I need more of that. All right.
Apparently we need the dies also. We just have the rounded dies right now.
Okay.
Can I have the packaging?
I went and wrecked it.
It's okay, I just need the name and stuff.
Thank you. All right, so this is my favorite foam tape. I love it. So I'm just gonna put some on here, and I can probably cut this in half and use it on both, okay? Or will it fit on there? Oh, it might fit on there. And I'll just trim that off. There we go. I'm using my Teflon scissors for that so it doesn't stick to them. And I'll just put that on there, like that. Just trim it off. Otherwise you guck your other scissors up. I'm not gonna cut that on there. I'm gonna cut that off. Alrighty. So now on the front here, these are called stipple strips, and you get a variety of sentiments cut, all the same shape, and then you can cut the mats for them also. So I'm gonna put happy birthday to you, and then this one is you are so loved. Just push that down. So there's my card, all done. So here I did a handout for it. So if you're on the master list, you will get the handout tonight. If you're not on the master list and would like to, then just send me your email through message. And if you just want these instructions, you can also let me know about that. Oh, I forgot the quilling. Holy moly, I'm not used to doing that. Alrighty, so I didn't have any quilling strips at home. So I actually just cut a piece of thin cardstock. Now, when you are cutting the cardstock and you want to use it for a quilling piece, it has to be a thin piece, and you have to do it with the grain. So I'm going to show everybody again. When you're holding your paper, and you can go like this with ease, then this is the grain of the paper. So you would cut it this way with the grain. No, this one gave me a bit of resist. I'm sorry, this one has a bit of resist. And then this one, you can see that's the grain of the paper. See how there's no resist at all, where this one had a tiny bit of resist. There's no resist. So this is the grain of the paper. So you want to cut along the grain of the paper, because that allows for the paper to twirl really easily. All right, so I'll show you on a smaller sheet. So if it looks like this is with ease. Let me see, this has resist, this is resist, this is with ease. So this is the grain of the paper. So obviously I had an 11 by 8.5 sheet, so I just cut right along here because that's the grain of the paper. All right? Okay. So now I'm going to take my quilling tool and I'm going to put, there's a little slot there. I'm going to have to put my light on because my cataracts are bad. Okay, just let me just see where that is. All right, I got it. Okay. So there's a little slit. I call it Quilling for Dummies because it's called a slotted quilling tool. We have them in stock, and we have actually quite a few in stock. And we also have the papers. So you can see that it's in that slot, and then I'm just sliding it to the end, all right? And I'm resting it on my finger there. And then I'm gonna twirl it. I'm twirling it towards myself, like this. And I'm leaving it in my on my finger. I'm not pulling it up like that or anything. I'm just leaving it on my finger. And my thumb is the tension. So I'm just going to lightly hold it with my thumb. And I'm going to twirl and keep twirling the paper. Now, real quilling paper is even thinner than this. So it's, if you're going to get into quilling, it's best to use the proper quilling paper. Okay, so I'm at the end. So I was quilling towards myself. I'm going to now turn this the other way and then just pull it out. And then I have that little circle. So you can just let it relax like that. And then you take your glue. So depending how full you want it, how full you want your circle, these actually are for quilling. That's what these little glue bottles are for. All right, so this is pretty full. So I probably, obviously, and there is a quilt. That's called a loose circle. Oops. So that's called a loose circle in quilling, all right? So then I want to add it here. I can just put a circle of glue like so and just stick it on there like that. All right. And then the next one, I have red. And again, you can tell I went with the grain of the paper. And I'm going to take my quilling tool and just take it and push it to the end, and then I do it towards myself, and then I just put my thumb on it. I'm not squeezing it at all. My thumb is very lightly touching it, and then I'm just twirling it. Now, when you're usually quilling, you're usually using like a 4-inch or an 8-inch strip. This is an 11-inch strip. Turning it the reverse way, and then you let it relax. So I'm just letting my circle relax, and then I'm just going to glue it. So maybe I'll do a card with some other quilling on it for you. But I thought circles on this were quite appropriate since the paper's got the circles all over it. And then I have a pink one. So now I'm going to do it. So I put this in the little slot. And then so now you can quill the other way too. You can quill away from yourself. It doesn't matter. And then I would go towards myself and just let that go. So we have, this is called 1/8 inch quilling paper. And that's the size that I quill with, and that's the most common size for quilling your flowers and whatnot. So then I'm just gonna put that right here. And there we go. So now we have some little quilled things on our card, which I think is pretty cute. Just adds to it, adds a little interest for sure. Now I want to show you, because I could do a quilled card for you using, I went and turned my light off. Okay, I'm just going to do this and I'll just quickly show you. So you're quilling this big long piece. And like I said, if I was making flowers, you use like 4 inches, 6 inches, not this 11 inch. Okay, you let it relax. And then you glue the end. There's all sorts of things you can do with this. Now, once you shape it, once paper has a memory, it's going to stay like that, okay? So if I wanted to make a flower petal or whatever, you just squeeze the end. And that creates, it's called a teardrop. So you can see how you could build a flower around that, right? Now, if you wanted a leaf, you could do this again, and you'd squeeze it into a teardrop, but then you would squeeze this end and have a marquee or a cat's eye, and then that would be a leaf. So there's all sorts of things you can do with your quilled paper. So maybe next week I'll do something with quilling and I'll show you how to do a flower or something. It's lots of fun. It's a very inexpensive hobby for sure. I think your quilling tool's $5.99 or $6.99, something like that. And your paper isn't very expensive at all. I would recommend buying quilling paper. I mean, for a project like this, it was fine, but the quilling paper is easier to manipulate than this one when you're doing smaller pieces. All right? Okay, so that's that. That's your quick quilling lesson.